That day that I posted that, I had just took a pregnancy test. And it was another negative. That was my 20th negative pregnancy test, and it was
Wow.
weighing down on my spirit. It was killing me, and I'm just like, I told my husband he could have a baby by another woman.
Wow.
I said if I asked for a divorce because I felt like it was unfair to him to have to be married to a woman who could not carry his children.
I could be so good to you. I could be so good to you. I could be so good to you. I could be so good to you.
All right, what's up, besties? It's your girl Sheridan S. Davis, and we're back with yet another episode of the Good Girl Rich Life podcast. Y'all, I am so excited about all the things that the podcast is doing. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button on your way in here. It is time for another iconic episode. So I'm very excited and thank you guys for watching. For those of y'all who are confused and like, girl, why are you calling us besties? It's because that's what I call my subscribers. So if you want to be a bestie and come aboard this crew, you need to hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on Spotify, follow us. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the subscribe button and do the same thing on Apple Podcasts. Go ahead and follow us on all platforms. Also, if you haven't, did you notice that my latest book, Church Girls 5, is available right now on Amazon.com. Go and get you a copy. Okay? So let's bring it in. My guest today is hilarious. She's a wife, a mom, and an entrepreneur. She is the microblading and microshading queen. Okay. Now, on a most serious note, in 2014, she wrote a post on Facebook that shook me to my core and stuck with me. She wrote, and I quote, "I might as well be a boy," shaking my head. That post stuck with me because who would have known I would deal with my own halfway diagnosis to the same condition. She is beautiful. She doesn't play, but she's also kind and honestly an incredible inspiration to me and a survivor. Help me bring to the pulpit Mrs. Fallon Anderson, owner of Infallible Beauty. Hey, Fallon.
Hey, Sherry, that was
Okay, there we go.
beautiful.
You're all good. How are you? How's your spirit?
I'm doing good. It's
Good,
a
good,
beautiful
good.
day. Yeah.
Yes, we
Worked a
love that.
little
We love
bit.
that. And you back home. Welcome back.
Yes, and I'm happy about it. Okay. I have zero complaints at all about being back home. I'm very happy to
I
be
love
home.
that. Well, welcome back. So, you guys, Fallon is an entrepreneur. Make sure you guys are following her. All of her details will be down below in the description box. Also, follow her business. All of that will be down below. So before we get into things, if you can tell my besties a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I didn't prepare my intro, but my name is Fallon. If you look for me on like Facebook or something, you would look under Fallon Siobhan. Of course, that's my middle name. I am a wife. I've been married for 14 years. I am a mother. I have 9-year-old twin boys. I am a business owner. I started Infallible Beauty in 2019 while I was working full time, going to school full time, momming and wifing full time, and just took a moment and said, "Let me do something for me."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I relocated to Atlanta in 2021. Just me and my family just got up and moved, and we just came back home 2 weeks ago, and I am happy about that. I am currently in school, finishing my degree in human resources management, and then I am switching over once I'll be done with that in December, and then I'll be switching over to cybersecurity. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's a little bit about me.
Okay. I love that. I think that I really wanted to have you on not just because of the things that you have physically gone through and are overcoming, but also because I love the fact that you're honestly a boss. You don't mind pivoting. You don't mind saying, "Hey, I actually want to do this right now," and doing it. I love that about you.
Because you can
Life
do
is
it all.
too short. Yes, life is too short to live a boring life. So I love what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, girl. So I got what I call a half PCOS diagnosis. Now, I'm calling it a halfway diagnosis because it's honestly my fault.
Okay.
I after I got the ultrasound, I did not follow up. Once the lady called me and said it was no cyst on my ovaries, I it had been so traumatic for me, the whole experience. I was like, girl, I'm not going, I'm not coming back to see you. But I'm going to get myself together, get up the nerve and go back. If you can share with us now, for those who are not aware, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I want everybody to know what that is. Fallon, you have been very open and honest about the fact that you have PCOS. How did you find out that you had it?
So I found out when I was 18 years old. I started having menstrual cycles when I was 9. I remember the day, the hour, the moment when I first had my cycle. I was in Mississippi in Ponderosa restaurant in the bathroom, went to the bathroom at the church and said, wiped myself and said, "Oh my God, Granny, so I'm dying." I was screaming in the bathroom. My grandma ran in the bathroom, thought somebody was trying to rape me in the bathroom. Was, so from that, so I was 9, and from the time I was 9 years old until I was about 17, I was away at college. I went away to college at SIU when I was 17, and during that time of me being there, my cycle started to change. But from 9 to 17, it had been the same every month, every 28 days for 7 whole days, and I never cramped. I never had pain. I just had little light bleeding, but it was always 7 whole days. And then when I was 17 and I was away, and I started skipping months. So it started with skip a month, then it started skipping 2 months. Then it started skipping 3 months. And I remember telling my grandma, like, something not right, Initially, I'm like, maybe I'm pregnant, but I was away at college. I wasn't sleeping with nobody down there. So I'm like, I had to come here pregnant, And so when I came home, so I only did 1 year at SIU. The year I came home, I went to the doctor. And I remember the day the doctor called me. I was at work. I used to work downtown, and I was literally walking on my lunch break, and the doctor called me and just basically told me, like, you have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, and basically you it's very likely you won't be able to have children, and you won't be, straight off my ovaries were covered in cysts. So she showed it to me. It's like, it literally looks like a chain of pearls around my ovaries. And so basically, what happens is when you ovulating, my body doesn't go through the full ovulation cycle. It stops at the point that it's supposed to release the egg. It doesn't. And so those eggs just build up month after month, and one can't get past the other one. So they just start to form this circle that looks like a chain. If you see it on ultrasound, it looks like a chain of pearls.
Wow.
And so that happened when I was 18. And so ever since then, doctors really, they don't, it's almost like they don't know. They don't know what to do. They don't know where they come from. They don't really know. They just want to give you medicine. And they don't have no answers. And so for me, just throwing medicine at me, that don't work for me. I'm not a person that you can just feed medicine, because I'm
Mhm.
not. I don't even, if you know me, I don't even take pain pills. Like, I will try to sleep a headache off first before I even take a
Me
Tylenol for
too.
it,
Me
because
too.
I just don't, I just don't believe in that whole big pharma everything. It got to be a way that this stuff can be fixed, so without medicine, but they don't give us the natural remedies,
Right.
because I feel like they just want to feed us medicine.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a little backstory for those of y'all who have been following me for a while. Y'all kind of know this story a little bit. So um I don't think I've ever had a regular cycle. It's always been irregular. I would have it. Mine was usually 5 days, and
Mm-hmm.
then I skip a month here and there. Not even a month. Sometimes it was 3 months. The longest
Yeah,
time I've skipped has been 9. And I'm like, for those of y'all who know me, y'all know I'm abstaining until marriage. How I'm not how I'm having a baby's worth of time span.
I've
Okay.
seen whole months.
Wow.
After my
Wow.
kids, it was 13
Mhm.
months.
Wow. Yeah. So I knew something was going on in the back of my head. I was scared to fully ask the doctor. I
Mm-hmm.
remember asking one when I was in a teenager, probably 16 or 17. And she told me, well, everybody's not regular, so maybe that's your regular. And I said, okay. And I took that and let
Yeah.
that be there. But there was still something in the back of my head. So last year in October, this is crazy. It might be a
Wow.
year to the date. So last year, I went to the doctor. I was supposed to be interviewing Latrice Pace from the Pace Sisters, the Anointed
Okay.
Pace Sisters. And I had to text like, hey, can you give me a few minutes? Like, I'm sorry I'm running late, because I was going to the doctor for a regular physical. And I told the doctor, who I'm not a big fan of, she is, because her delivery is just so harsh. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I told her and explained what had been going on with me and all this other stuff. And I, quite honestly, I wasn't understanding why I'm gaining weight. I'm eating the same bigger. I like, what is going on? And so
That's
yeah,
uh,
all that. So I'm like, okay, what's up? And so she was like, oh, I think you have PCOS. And I already knew what PCOS was. Um,
mm-hmm.
so she ain't have to tell me, but I don't want to say I knew the depths, right? I knew what it was in general. I had
Yeah.
just watched, I think B. Simone interviewed, I can't remember the young lady's name, who had PCOS, and her talking about her struggles with fertility and all this stuff. And that was the first thing that came to mind. And
Yeah.
I was just like, girl, what? And why are you saying it like
Yeah.
Grand
Like it's a piece
Avenue?
of cake.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And she was like, oh, we're gonna she tries to give me a pap
It's on birth
smear.
control.
Listen, she said all that. Well, first she wanted to do a pap smear, which was crazy. So I hadn't had one since 16, because I was told you don't need one because you're not
I have a
sexually
sex.
sensitive.
Mhm.
So y'all ain't nothing been there in there at all.
Period.
So she trying to give me that, and I'm like, I'm literally like,
Mm-hmm.
so she was just like, okay, never mind. I'm gonna let you see another one of my colleagues, because you can't. Like, she was so nasty. Did some blood work. I went out to the car, and that's when I finally just broke out in tears. I had to wait, I think, 2 weeks to get in to see the other doctor to do the pap smear, to another few weeks for the ultrasound. Like, I was so depressed in this time, because all I'm thinking is, I'm already abstaining to marriage. That's already difficult with dating.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna have to tell somebody, okay, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get no kids either. that was a lot to deal
It
with
is a lot.
at one time. So psychologically, by the time the lady called me and was like, well, y'all have any sis? I was like, okay, I'm gonna just take that and go because I'm
Mhm.
tired of y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. So did you have to do the ultrasound?
Yes. So I had to get. So they give you a They give you a um one like on top,
Mm-hmm.
so a topical ultrasound, and then an intravaginal one. So they actually put this instrument inside of you and move around to see, like, it gives them a better view of what's what and to see if you have like tumors and polyps and things like that. So yeah, I've had both.
Right.
Yep.
Lord Jesus. Okay, so when you first had, well, I knew you had the ultrasound because you said it looked like a string of pearls
Mhm.
around your ovaries. When you first had it, was that nerve wracking? How did you feel? Like, I know what
Um,
the symptoms are and all that, but what was going through your mind?
well, so it is very I mean, it's been 21 years now, almost 22 years since I found out, but the way that I feel about having it still feels the same.
Wow.
Um because it's a very difficult thing to deal with. You try everything, you
Mm-hmm.
I've tried. You try changing your diet, you try exercising, you try that you they put you on birth control, and at one point I'm like, okay, I don't want to be on birth control, I want to have a baby. So then
Right.
that's and I remember when I was going to one doctor, I used to have these um two African American male doctors, and one of them had a wife who had
Mm-hmm.
PCOS.
Okay.
And so I felt good about him because he understood. He wanted to he understood me on a different level because he was having to go through it with his wife. And he said, they me and my wife wasn't supposed to have kids, but we
Mm.
did, and so
Yeah.
I felt confident with him. And but yeah, the way that it made me feel then, I still feel like that right now because I still got it,
Yeah.
and it's still something that I'm battling with every single day, trying to figure out how can I win against these cravings that I feel. How can I beat this little hair that want to grow on my chin? I'm a lady.
Can we talk about that? Girl.
So I mean, all those feelings that I felt,
Yeah.
uh, then initially, I remember, like you said, when I remember when I wrote, I might as well be a boy.
Mm-hmm.
That what I was going through at that time was my husband didn't have any children, and he had never put pressure. He knew I had PCOS, but he didn't understand the depths of it because we weren't really trying to get pregnant, right?
Right.
So then when he said I want to have a baby, and we was having all this sex and no baby wasn't showing up, he
Yeah.
it started to make me feel work. Every that day that I posted that, I had just took a pregnancy test, and it was another negative. That was my 20th negative pregnancy test, and it was
Wow.
weighing down on my spirit. It was killing me, and I'm just like, I told my husband he could have a baby by another woman.
Wow.
I said, if I asked for a divorce because I felt like it was unfair to him to have to be married to a woman who could not carry his children because that was his desire.
Yeah.
So I had laid down my desire to have a baby. I said, it's just not gonna happen. And so in my mind, I said, I don't want kids. I don't want kids. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
kids. That
Mm-hmm.
soothes what I knew was what my reality of what the doctor said. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that helped soothe that. to just say, I don't even want no kids. But
Mm-hmm.
the reality was they said I can't have no kids.
Yeah.
But that was me taking my power back from them, saying, I don't want no kids anyway. Y'all can't say what I can't have because I don't want
Yeah.
it anyway. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it became my desire because it was my husband's desire to have a family. And so now I'm like, I can't. And that was very difficult for me. And so a lot of days I would just cry and cry and cry, especially once we got to the point of him saying I want to have a baby, because now we are actively trying to
Right.
get pregnant and it's not happening.
Wow. How long were y'all trying?
Uh, for like 2 years. So I
Wow.
remember, well, yeah, for about 4 years. And so I
Mm-hmm.
remember going to the doctor, that same Christian doctor. He kept saying, well, let's put you. So it was like they worked in the same office. They were partners. They had one Dr. Hobbs and Dr. Leonard, two black
Mm-hmm.
guys. They used to work at Northwestern. Did they opened their own practice on 95th Street. So I left Northwestern when they left and went with them out south. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I let them do the birth control thing. They put me on clomiphene. They want to put you on metformin. They want to put you on all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it if it's going to work, you know? And so, finally, I got tired of it. The birth control, I just was like, look, I'm gaining weight and I ain't having no baby. I don't want to do this no more. I'm done with these birth control. I ain't taking them no more. And he's like, well, Fallon, no, I'm not taking them. And so I said, what's next? What's the next step? Because
Yeah.
what we doing with this not working. So it got to be a next step. So he ended up referring me to, he's a reproductive endocrinologist. And his name is Dr. Yang. I remember what happened was I had been bleeding for 4 months straight. Every
Wow.
day so it's either one extreme, like no periods for a long period of time, or it's bleed for a
Yeah.
long time, to the
Yeah.
point where like I gotta wear a pamper, and
Mm-hmm.
I gotta wear a pad that's so big it go from the front to the back, and I gotta wear a tampon all at the same time, and I gotta change every 30 minutes or I'm gonna mess up my clothes,
That's the
and I
one.
can't go outside, you know. So, and I was like, this right here, I can't. Now I gotta take iron pills because I'm bleeding like a pig daily. I still gotta go to work. I still gotta, you know, but then I can't have sex with my husband. It's been 4 months. Like,
Yeah.
you know, all of these
Yeah.
things. Because at the end of the day, I'm still somebody's wife. He still got his own needs. Like,
Right.
what am I supposed to do with this? You know? And so I asked him, I said, what is the next step? He sent me to Dr. Yang. I ended up going to Dr. Yang, and but I didn't go right away. So this is
Mm-hmm.
October. Dr. Yang didn't have no appointment for 3 months. Okay, so
Oh
January,
wow.
he didn't have any appointments for 3 months. I went to the appointment all the way in January. The day of that I finally got an appointment, it was a blizzard outside in Chicago.
Wow.
And my friend Pumpkin, she was like, I'm gonna go to the doctor with you. You know, that was our plan before the blizzard. And
Mm-hmm.
so she was saying, so I'm like, sis, you gonna still go with me? You know, because I just didn't know what to expect. And she was like, yeah, you know, it's bad outside, but you've been waiting for a long time and I don't want you to miss the appointment. So we
Mm-hmm.
went way in Oak Lawn. We would come from Broadview all the way to the south side. And we got there and it was this little office. And it was like freezing cold in there because
Mm-hmm.
the heat had gone out in the office. And so it was a man in there trying to fix the furnace, and it was stacks of books, photo albums in there, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we picked up the photo albums, and it's all these pictures of babies and
Mm.
families and with babies. So those are all like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of families and babies and people who he's helped have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember when he came out the back, he was like hunched over like this. He can't even stand up straight. And he was an old man, 80 some years old. I think he was
Oh
85.
wow.
He was a Chinese man or Korean man, 85 years old. And that was in 2014. So 10 years later, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
1995. And guess what? I just went there 2 months ago. He's still working.
Oh wow. What? Come on here.
I went there
Girl,
to
by the
get
time
my
I get married, hopefully he's still here.
went there to get my I wanted to know my blood type, and so they told me the easiest way to get it is from the doctor who delivered my kids. And so I
Uh-huh.
went there to get it, and he still got his office. He's still in there working. I was in there talking to him at
Wow.
90 some years old.
Wow.
I went in July 3 months ago. Yep.
I love
And
it.
and so I started going to him right away. He put me in for surgery. I had surgery a week later to
Oh
stop
wow.
me from bleeding. So he gave me a DNC. Um my cervix and my cervix and my uterus was filled with polyps. I had like 26 polyps. He showed them all
Wow.
to me. I literally, when I was just packing all my stuff, I was looking through like paperwork, and I still got all the photos. I should have pulled them out of all the polyps in my uterus. And so
Jesus.
that was like the first thing that he wanted to, get rid of, and he stopped me from bleeding. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there, we started this whole process. I went to the doctor like every 2 weeks. He was giving me all these tests, checking every level in my body. And he said, "You're gonna have babies by the summer."
Mm.
So he told me, and he said, "You do what I tell you to do, you have baby." And I did everything that man told me to do. He said, "Lose a little weight."
Mm-hmm.
And in the 30 days, I lost 28 pounds.
Wow.
And so he just had me on this cycle of I needed to ovulate on a schedule. So I had to take medicine that made my body ovulate.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that was like, but I was still going through that disappointment of not getting pregnant,
Yeah.
because now I'm forcing ovulation, and me and my husband are arguing now because we trying to have sex on a schedule. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I got to do the ovulation kit. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then he at the studio, and I'm like, "Oh, you got to come on now." It's all,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ready to go. And he like, "I don't want to do this." I'm like, "Well, you said you wanted a baby." So
Yeah.
we were fighting over, it was just a mess. It was one of the hardest times of my life for real. And then that was like April. I was like, okay, what's the next step? Because now we like 3 months. Because I really, really, really wanted to get pregnant naturally, just by laying down and having sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
what he did was he started testing the next step was like, let me test your cervical mucus, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so he started giving me all these tests. So he tested my mucus. My cervical mucus was too thick. See,
Mm.
he an old school doctor. Let me tell you something. The man didn't have a modern computer in that office. He still don't right now today.
Shut up.
Got a doctor bill on digital doctor bill. His
Wow.
wife hand wrote every bill
Yeah.
on a ledger, every service, and how much he charged for it. And she put it in the mail. They wrote it out with an ink pen, my name, their name on
Wow.
He didn't have a modern computer in there. That man had a telescope. When he gave me a culture exam, a pap smear, he put it on a microscopic piece of glass, put it on the telescope, and said, "Look at it right there on that screen."
Mm-hmm.
On an old IBM computer screen.
Oh wow.
1999, my right hand to God.
Wow.
Nothing mattered. Even when I got pregnant, the ultrasound machine was nothing like what they have now. He wrapped this band around my waist, and it had this big circle thing on it. And he would move it around until he could find the baby. It was something I never seen before. He said these doctors, see, he from Korea or somewhere over there, and he's like, all this modern medicine, what I do work. This stuff they doing, that stuff don't work.
Hello.
I said, why fix what is not broken?
Come on.
From the day I walked in there, I knew that man was going to help me have a baby. When I seen all them books, I said, this, God, thank you. You sent me to the right person. I ain't have to wait, because guess what? Everybody else canceled their doctor's appointments because it was a blizzard outside. So I had all his undivided attention. I was able to explain everything I had been dealing with to him, and he listened to everything. When I had my kid, he circumcised my kids. He gave me every surgery I had. He didn't let no other doctor touch me. I had to have 2 surgeries while I was pregnant. He did them himself. He was the doctor that saw. He delivered my babies. He gave me my C-section. Everything that needed to happen to my body on my journey to pregnancy, once I got with him, he did it himself.
It's important to find somebody that works with you and works for you, because some of these doctors are absolutely horrible, and you have to advocate for yourself. So I'm so happy that you found him. How did you find out that you were pregnant?
Okay, so we finally got sick of the arguing to get pregnant, to have sex. So we finally asked him, what else can we do? Right. So he gave us these options. You could do IVF, you could do insemination. So we said, let's try the insemination, see if it works. Right. Every other person that we had a conversation with said, oh, it don't work. It took 17 times for it to work. Every time I tried, nurses in the hospital were like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So I was ovulating. I was still taking my ovulation stuff. And I called my husband. I said, I'm ovulating. So you can come on home and handle your business. And then we're going to call him. Right. So we literally called him like we on our way. And when we got there, they do this thing called cleaning the semen. And he right there separated the good semen from the bad semen.
Wow.
The ones that weren't, I guess potent enough, he took them out. Right there. And set me on the table and said, you want me to do one tube or both tubes? And I'm like, well, I had listened to so many people say, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. And so he was even saying, most people don't work the first time, but we're gonna try. And so I was like, well, at least if it don't work in one, it'll work in the other one. Maybe we'll give ourselves the most chances possible, right? And so we said, hey, just do both of them. Well, my husband said do both of them. So I was like, okay, never in a million years did I think that. But it worked the first time.
Wow.
It worked the first time. And 2 weeks later, I literally was like, James, I could not stand for anything to touch my breast, not even the tips of my finger. I said, James, my teeth hurt so bad they feel like they're gonna fall off. That's how I was pregnant.
Wow.
And we used to live across the street from Target. He went across the street to Target, got the pregnancy test. I took it. I took at least 4 tests. And then I called the doctor. I was sitting in that bathroom like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I just was stunned for a second. And my husband, he was in your room. And I said, James. And then I just stuck the pregnancy test out the door. And then I said, this can't be real.
Wow.
And then I called the doctor and I was like, I got a positive test, but I just need to come right now. I wanted him to give me a blood test.
Yeah.
We hopped in the car and drove out south, and he gave me a blood test. And then right there on the spot, 2 weeks after. But when you 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you really like 5 weeks. So it adds an extra 2 weeks. So I think it was 3 weeks later because he told me I was 5 weeks pregnant. He said he gave me the blood test and he was like, your HCG levels are too high at this, amount of weeks for it to just baby in there. He said, gotta be 2 babies.
Look at God.
Like, you a lie. Like, don't play with me like that. But you can't ultrasound till your 7 weeks, so I had to wait to get the ultrasound in. I remember when we got the ultrasound, the nurse was like, the ultrasound tech. She says my husband was in the lobby on a conference call, and I'm laying on the table, and she was like, "Oh, congratulations, mommy! This is baby A." And I'm like, "Baby." When she said "baby A," baby, I cannot cry. I was like, because, girl, I was just trying to have this man a baby. Okay. Right. Then she gonna say, "Do you want to tell daddy?" And I said, "You tell him." And she went and got him and told him, and he looking at her like, "What? What are you talking about, lady?" Girl, that day I'll never forget. I was not okay. Because was I ecstatic that I was having a baby? Yes, I wanted to make my husband happy. I wanted him to have a baby. But did I want 2 kids? No, that for sure I didn't want. And so when I tell you I could not snap out of it, I was really like blood pressure to the moon. We left there and went. I had a doctor's appointment right after to see him. And so I went to his office. I literally stayed there for 5 hours. He would not let me leave. My blood pressure was so high. I was dizzy. I could not believe it. My head felt like it was going to explode because my first trimester of pregnancy, I had really, really, really bad headaches. And that made it terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's how I found out I was
pregnant. My goodness. So I'll just have a couple more questions for you. Okay. You said you feel the same way about having PCOS as you did then. Let me tell you what's crazy about my story, and then I'm gonna ask you this. So this is gonna be a little bit funny. Okay. But it didn't feel funny. Okay. So when I told you I had to get the pap smear, right? So my regular doctor, she didn't want to do it because she didn't like the way I was oohing and ahhing the whole time. So she was like, "You're gonna have to go with somebody else." I was like, "Dang, girl, like you could at least work with me." So anyway, I get with another doctor a couple weeks later, and of course I'm so nervous. Girl, now mind you, I'm doing this on a work day, which I probably shouldn't have did that. Anyway, so I go there, I got my uniform on. She like, "Okay, well, get undressed, I'll be back." So I'm looking at the tools, and I'm like, "What is going?
What y'all gonna do with that?"
Okay. Because it looked like a clear curling iron. Like, what are you gonna do? What you gonna do with that? And so I lay down, and I'm like, "Oh Lord, I'm praying because I already know, like, this is not about to be comfortable." So the lady talking to me, and she said, "Okay, so how are you today?" I'm like, you not talking enough to distract me from what's happening, okay? The lady tell me, "Okay, take a deep breath." I took a deep breath. She pushed in, and I screamed. And then she was like, "Okay, we're almost in." I said, "I don't know, what else do you want to do?" So she pushed in some more. Okay. She pushed in some more. And then she said, "Okay, I'm going to open it now." Ma'am. So she opens it. And of course, it's so uncomfortable, blah, blah. People say it's uncomfortable. It was painful to me. Okay.
Yeah.
It's painful. So she did what she had to do. And she says, okay, so the next time I'm going to do, now I've opened you up. So next time I'm going to do it. Girl, so you're not done?
You're not done.
Girl, what? I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back.
You because they use that clear thing now. He uses a flat out metal like tool. Okay.
Metal?
You metal.
Girl.
Yeah. He'll use no noose, modern, nothing. It was literally metal.
Girl, I go to work afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Later on, I go to the bathroom and I see a little blood.
Mm-hmm.
I called my mama. I said, girl, did the doctor have sex with me? Did she break my Did I just break my
What? Did she?
I don't think the lady had sex with me. What's going on? Did she take my testimony?
She was my Jerry.
Lord Jesus. But
Very
yes, it's crazy. So she wanted to put me on, you said it, birth control, and metformin. And I said metformin. And she was like, yeah, you're gonna have to go. Yes. And she was like, you're gonna have to go to the bathroom. I said, listen, lady, I got stuff to do. I cannot be taking metformin. You're not about to be embarrassing me.
And here's the thing. Why am I taking it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I have a condition that ain't related to diabetes, why are you giving me diabetic medication?
Right.
Because there has to be another way to battle insulin resistance. You know? Because I think that's the thing, that's the thing that they are targeting with the metformin, the insulin resistance. And it probably works for it, but there has got to be something else that works for it too.
Yeah, because I can't. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
that was a bit much for me. I told her already, first of all, I'm already a plus size lady. I'm not going to be able to take no birth control. I don't need to. I don't want the symptoms.
I don't want to gain another pound
at all. At all. Like
people don't understand. Like you can say to people 1,000 times, 1,000,000 trillion times, like I got PCOS, right? But if they don't understand it, then they just don't understand. If they don't know nobody with it, or if they're not dealing with it, they don't understand it. And so, you know, I found myself explaining to people 1,000,000 times, like, this is why my body does this.
Right.
You know, I remember the doctor told me, as I said, man, I got a personal trainer. I be going to the gym, ain't nothing working. Like, what's the problem? And she told me, she said, a regular person burn calories in their sleep, but it's a metabolic disorder. So where people, I don't even sweat. The only place that I will sweat is on my back, and my head will get like hot, you know. So like if I go to a gym or something, I make sure that I cover my head, because that'll give me at least a little some heat, and you know, and make me feel like I did work out today. Because I can work out for 2 hours and not one drop of sweat will run off my face.
Wow. Okay.
And that's because it kills your metabolism.
Yeah.
And so all those sweat glands people have, where they be drenched in water, my body is not doing none of that. None of that. And people don't understand it. And then the other part is everybody don't have the same symptoms. Like you said, you don't have cysts on your ovaries, but that's like one symptom.
Right.
It's so many others. And everybody, I remember the first time I saw the list of things, and I said, oh my God, yeah, all this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
over time, it became most of the things on the list. And then, like, even now, depression is on there. That was the one thing that I had never experienced. And then I did in 2020 when it was COVID.
Yeah.
Like, so then I said, dang, it, all of it. Like, I've
Yeah.
been every single thing on that PCOS list. So I think that girls, doctors don't really talk about it because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And so the thing they must have learned in school is give them some birth control and give them some metformin,
Yeah.
give them
Yeah.
some clomiphene, and I mean, and then what? Like, you don't give
And
them
then what?
clomiphene or clomiphene is the same thing, but yeah, it's like then what? You can't walk me through this. And then they say lose weight, but then they tell you the hardest thing for you to do is lose weight.
Is lose weight.
And it's like, stop playing in my face. Cause I want to lose weight. I've been
That part.
trying. I've been going to the gym and I quit because I'm paying a personal trainer. I'm paying for a gym membership and I ain't losing a pound. What you want me to do with that? I remember the lady said, hey, she said, you will have to work out 4 to 5 times as hard as a normal person. So, like,
Wow.
where you work out one time, a regular person can work out one time a day and get results. I need to work out 4 to 5 times more than them. So
Jesus.
4 to 5 hours a day. Who doing that?
Right.
Nobody's doing that. So then, hey, this is what you got. Hey, it is what it is. Because I mean, now I'm gonna have a heart attack in the gym because I'm
That
over.
part.
So
Yeah. Well, I thank you for coming on, and I want to shout out your husband for being by your side through this. Like, some men are jerks, and you are so blessed.
I told
Yeah.
him, I said, babe, you can have a baby by somebody. And so I would never do that. I didn't marry you just to, bear kids with you. I married you because I loved you, and I would cry all the time. And what would be the most painful is like us being out in public, especially after we got married, and then everybody just saying, when y'all gonna have a baby? When y'all gonna have a baby? And it's like, that's so, y'all don't even know what people be going through. And you don't know that every time you ask me that question, I go home and I cry myself to sleep because it breaks my heart that I am struggling this bad with this. But because the first thing we think is that when you get married, the first thing you should do is have a baby.
Have a baby.
When you don't see us with no kids, that's the constant question that you're asking us, and you don't know my situation. And so it's insensitive. I seen one of my friends say that a couple of weeks ago, like, when you see me, stop saying, oh, you so skinny, don't lose no more weight. Like, you don't know what a person's situation is. And so everybody needs to just be quiet,
Just mind your own business.
Mind your
That's
own business.
it. If you could give a piece of advice to somebody who's maybe dealing with PCOS, maybe they're married, struggling with them or with their husband dealing with it, what would that piece of advice be?
So if you I'm gonna say if you're married and you're struggling with your husband and him dealing with it, I would advise you to take him to your doctor's appointments. He needs to hear it for himself, how difficult it is, how hard it is. That is not you, that is not in your control. Yes, it's things that we can do to battle it, but it's not an easy fight. No. And then they don't go through these type of struggles in their bodies, and so they don't understand. They made different. They don't understand. Yeah. And so you just got to pray for him. Pray that God gives him some compassion for your situation, and and help him become informed about exactly what it is that you're going through. Be honest with him and tell him, even girls, from the beginning. I told my husband in the beginning, like, this is something that I deal with. So then people get to choose what they want to deal with and what they don't want to deal with. They don't gotta find out, I mean, should you tell a man that on the first date? No, that ain't none of his business. But when
Right.
y'all get to a place where we in a serious relationship, that's something that could affect y'all in the future. So that is something that you are actually obligated to share.
Mm-hmm.
And just for a woman that's dealing with it, just, I mean, if having children is what you want to do, then don't give up. There
Yeah.
is a doctor. There is a doctor that can help you, and there is also a God that is in control of all things. And so I remember we were going to the works at the time when we were trying to get pregnant, and Bishop Jeff said to me, he said, you the doctor got to do his part, you got to do your part, and then
Yeah.
let God do his part. So
That's
if
right.
the doctor is saying you got to lose some weight, then you lose them pounds. You show God that you are committed to what these people are asking you to do, because doctors were put in the earth to help us with these situations. And then God will then see you in turn trying, and
Yeah.
he will, and he will honor that.
Yeah.
So you got to do your part in, following I did everything that man told me to do down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
Single thing he told me to do, I did it. And listening to him worked.
Yeah.
My husband
Yeah.
was telling me it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. But at one point, I had gave up. I was like, he could go get him we could get a divorce. He could get another woman. I said, look, I was willing to let him have a baby by another woman, and
Jesus.
we co-parent with another woman.
Wow. Wow.
And
Well,
so,
I'm glad you didn't, and he didn't let you. Now you have two beautiful boys. And my last question is the question I ask all of my guests. If you could give me any advice about love and marriage, what would it be?
so I've learned my biggest lesson about marriage in the last 3 years of me, in the last 4 years. We've been together in a couple of months, it'll be 16 years.
Wow.
Um, and we were very young, and well, he was very young. I'm older than him. He was 21 and I was 24 when we started dating. And I was getting out of a crazy relationship. Right, over these last 4 years, I've really figured out that love is not enough
Mm.
to stay married. You have to communicate and communicate some more, over communicate. Even when y'all gotta be friends, y'all gotta be friends. Y'all gotta be able to talk about everything. Y'all gotta have a united front on all things against all in front of one thing that we never did. We could argue all the way to, and that people say it, but it's the real. I could argue all the way to your house with my
Yeah.
husband, and when we come in your house, it's gonna look like we in complete marital bliss. You would never know. I remember my grandma passed away last year. In between her funeral, when we left the cemetery to go to to the repast, we stopped at Target to get coffee. We argued in
Mm-hmm.
the car in Target all the way to that repast. And we got my grandma repast, you would have never known it. And
Yeah.
we were talking to my nephew and his girlfriend and just telling them, like, would y'all believe that we actually not even cool with each other right now? And they was
Mm-hmm.
like, really? I'm like, no, actually he getting on my nerves right now. But my nephew just was like, I said, that's how y'all have to be. Y'all gotta be, even when y'all mad at each other, y'all still in love. Y'all
Yeah.
gotta honor the fact that y'all still in love, and be careful what you say, because that's the it's people be saying words don't hurt. No, yes, it do. It actually hurt worse than you hit knocking me upside my head. Cause
Yeah.
that's only temporary. You hit me and then I don't feel it no more. But when you pierce my heart with your words, I ain't gonna never forget that. That's in the
Never.
because in my mind, I feel like that's how you feel about me. Like that's what you think about me. And when you start to act a certain way, them words gonna come back up. Like that's why you treat me like that, because that's how you see me. That's what you think about me, you know. But
Mhm.
and so I just say be friends. Always have each other back when they around and when they ain't around, and don't tell people your business. Me and my husband went through the worst, roughest, toughest knockout drag out season in 2020, and guess what? Not one person in my entire family. I had no conversation with
Yeah.
nobody in my whole family about it. Not one person. And I got 9 sisters. I had 3 brothers. One of them was passed on, a mother, father, and close knit cousins, like my brothers and
Mhm.
sisters. And I didn't tell a person in my whole family because it ain't their business.
That
It
part.
so bad we were about to get a divorce, and
Wow.
I never told anybody in my whole family because it ain't their business.
That's
You don't
right.
have to talk because guess what? One thing Rhonda always tell me, you gonna go through seasons of you better be lucky. You better be lucky. It might be you better be lucky you ain't got no job and I can't throw you out on the street. You better be lucky we got these kids and I don't want to disrupt their life. It's just that God will let you go through that season long enough for you to fall back in love.
Mm.
Truth.
Yeah.
I and I used to look at her like she was crazy, but it's the truth because I've lived through it. It's the truth. And so just don't be so quick and easy to give up, because you think you're going to get it somewhere else. And then you find out that, no, now I got to go learn somebody else, figure somebody else out. And ain't nobody perfect. So then you going to run into some bumps and lumps, somewhere else. So I say, don't, us young people, we just like, on to the next. No,
Yeah.
don't be so easy to give up. Fight a little, and then if the fight is too hard, then you say, you know what, I tried, and the Lord knows I did, and we done.
Yeah. Well, Fallon, thank you so much for coming on and telling your
Thank you
story.
so
I
much for
really appreciate it. Wait, say it again.
I said thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Y'all besties, make sure y'all follow Fallon and support her beauty brand. Y'all, she is amazing. So make sure y'all support. I'm not a good model right now because I really need to come back and get my brows done.
Girl,
But it is a
we're
video on
missing.
it is a video on my channel of me getting my brows done. So I'm gonna go back. I promise you I'm going back. And I love
I'm
y'all
here
so much.
now. I'll be at home all the time now.
Yes. All right. I love you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Have a good night.
Thank you.